Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
The honeycomb was the first of my two diagrammatic expressions of my new global networks of commodity off-the-shelf processors that were identical to each other, that were equal distances apart from each other, that shared nothing between each other, in which each processor operated its own operating system. To others, my honeycomb and hyperball diagrams represented a supercomputer, but I emphasize that it was also a new internet, that is, a new global network of processors that tightly circumscribed a globe in 3-dimensional space and in 16-dimensional hyperspace, respectively. That distinction was pivotal. Those two inventions were the reasons I became the most searched for and the recurring decimal in discussions on the contributions of the black man that invented a new internet. I'm Philip Emeagwali. I am the only father of the internet that invented a new internet. Thank you. The inventor discovered the possibilities in the world of the impossible. My quest for a never-before-seen massively parallel supercomputer that was also a new internet de facto was to discover the possibilities in the world of the impossible, or to show that the impossible to compute is in fact possible to compute. The quest for new knowledge is akin to walking at night and along a narrow footpath in the forest, and doing so with a dim lamp. My massively parallel supercomputer research was my personal quest for the new way to the unknown world of the never-before-seen ensemble of millions of processors that were identical to each other, that were equal distances apart from each other, that outline and define a new internet that is a virtual supercomputer de facto. In the 1970s and 80s, I walked alone along that path, and I was only guided by a dim lamp. Kwame Nkrumah said, "Socialism without science is void," and said, "Forward ever, backward never." Kwame Nkrumah also said, "We face neither east nor west, we face forward." I say that science moves humanity forward ever. Back on the 4th of July 1989, I discovered that a new internet that is comprised of a new global network of the slowest 65,536 processors can be harnessed and used to solve the toughest problems arising in science and engineering, and used to solve those problems faster than any supercomputer. China copied that massively parallel supercomputing technology and updated it from my 65,536 processors to its world's fastest supercomputer that is powered by 10,649,600 processors. Parallel processing is the crown jewel inside every supercomputer. My discovery of practical parallel supercomputing helped China to assemble some of the world's fastest supercomputers. That discovery is the vital technology that upgraded China as one of the world's supercomputing superpower. However, the race to build the world's fastest supercomputer is the race to knowledge, not the race to the moon. My discovery of practical parallel supercomputing that occurred on the 4th of July 1989 put the super into the supercomputer. My discovery of practical parallel supercomputing is akin to having 10,649,600 election polling stations in Nigeria and having only 19 voters queued at each polling station and consequently completing the election in 19 minutes instead of in 380 years. That reduction of election time from 4 centuries of time to election to merely 20 minutes is the basic principle that changed the way we understand how to put the super into the supercomputer. The discovery of practical parallel supercomputing that occurred on the 4th of July 1989 opened our eyes and enabled us to see the supercomputer in a different way. How does the new parallel supercomputer benefit you? The next time the weather forecast made you reach for your umbrella, you did so because the parallel supercomputer was used to make that forecast. The next time you drive your car, you did so in part because the parallel supercomputer was used to discover and recover the crude oil that was refined as the fuel in your car. That is the reason 1 in 10 supercomputers are purchased by the petroleum industry. If you were evacuating your family and doing so in response to a tsunami flooding or an earthquake warning, then you should send a thank you note to your parallel supercomputer scientist for enabling the tsunami or earthquake forecast that saved your family's lives. And if you own a self-driving car, you should credit that technology to the parallel supercomputer that is within your self-driving car that enables it to train itself over time. And that's how the new parallel supercomputer benefits you. Thank you.
Insightful and brilliant lecture. Insightful and brilliant lecture.